Have a seat, please. Mr. President, 4 years ago when you were running for president, I was in Baton Rouge trying to explain to the cynics about how you're going to put 100,000 policemen on the streets. And I said, very simple. He's going to send me the money, and I'm going to hire the guys, I'm going to put them on the street. The fact that you did that is evidence in the fact that the National Fraternal Order Police, for the first time in their history, endorsed the Democratic president. So you know that the success we've had here in Jefferson Parish, the successes we've been enjoying in Jefferson Parish for the money that you sent down to us is evident. We put in an application, we got $1.8 million. We hired these 17 officers back here who are our star officers, our community policing object. We went into 2 neighborhoods. STAR stands for Survey, Target, Arrest, and Rejuvenate Neighborhood, and that's what we've done. We've completed 4 neighborhoods. The first 2 we've made a test on. Drug crimes have dropped 85%, and violent crimes have dropped 87%. We haven't had enough time for the other 2 areas. We're going to do that in the next 14 neighborhoods, one at a time. We're taking them back one at a time with the money that you sent for us. It's very strange. For the first time, Washington sends money to us with no strings attached. They say that local governments know what the problems are more than we in Washington know, and more than they know in Baton Rouge. So the money comes directly to us. We conceived this program, and we're going to take it around the country because it works. The other thing we're doing, and we just got word, the last time we had lunch together, you explained to me the great success they had in New York with the mapping program. I'm happy to say we just got notice from the police more program that we got another $1.75 million grant, and we will buy 200 laptop computers, so any crimes committed tonight will be recorded for when the supervisors come at 8 o'clock in the morning. We will know exactly what happened where at all times. And to top that off, Mr. President, and I don't know what happened, if it's just coincidental, you just happened to be in town, we got a call yesterday morning that we've been funded for another 48 police officers. So I want to thank you very much. Now I have the great pleasure of introducing the senior senator who's been around a long time, doing a great job, Senator John Breaux.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. Thank you very much, Sheriff. Is anybody here from Jefferson Parish? Mr. President, we own the West Bank. They got the East Bank, the West Bank, and which bank is the best bank? Hey, bank, all right. We are delighted to be here. I want you to know, if anybody on Bob Dole's staff or Bob Dole himself that says community policing does not work, I say come to Jefferson Parish, and you'll see that it does work. Mr. President, you have a great crowd here, and these people are very proud of you coming to Jefferson Parish and being with us tonight. We want you all to know that these people are your supporters, they are your friends. We have people who are elected officials, we have average citizens, we have rich people, we have moderate income people, we have poor people, we have black people, we have white people, we have people who are Democrats and Democratic Party believers, as well as some Republicans out there. We thank all of you for coming. We appreciate it very much. I note that among our friends here, we have Harvey Industrial Canal leaders and people putting together the jobs and the growth and the economic opportunities for the West Bank, and we're proud of the work that they do and the work that all of you do. One point tonight that I think is incredibly important, for the President to get his agenda and the things that he wants to do about economic growth and jobs and deficit reduction in the Congress, we need a Congress that can work with President Bill Clinton, and one of the most important people that we can have working with me as a partner, not an opponent, working as a team together for Louisiana and for Jefferson Parish. I just think it happens to be time that the greater New Orleans area has a United States Senator, and that person is the next United States Senator, Mary Landrew. Mary?
Thank you, John Breaux, and welcome, Mr. President, to the best bank. Now I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. Thank you all for coming out, and for Congressman Fields and Congressman Jefferson, Senator Breaux. We've had a wonderful day. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. It's easy traveling with the President. He's got the motorcades and the bridge, and we made it here in right time. And I just want to say how proud I am and thank you for your support. We're going to win this election, and we're going to win big, but we need everybody's help, and Harry Lee has done a great job. The police officers that are here, Lieutenant Hughes and the McPhersons that have worked, because you know what we know works. To fight crime, we need to be tough and smart. To fight crime, we need to work together. The police with the community, with our elected officials in Washington, at the state level, and in our local communities, in our cities and our parishes. We need to do it together. And that's what community policing is all about. And regardless of what Bob Dole may say, regardless of what other Republicans may say, it works and we can feel it. And I thank Harry Lee and the President and Congressman Jefferson and Fields and all those in Washington that have made it possible. And I want to say, when I get to Washington with your help as the next United States Senator, the President is going to have someone he can depend on to work with him. Senator Breaux is going to have someone that he can depend on to work with him. Harry Lee is going to have someone he can depend on to work with him. And you all are going to have a partner that knows that we need to put more police on our streets. We need to make sure that we do early intervention. We need to make sure that we have a system in place that works to protect our neighborhoods, to make our children feel safe, to help the businesses know that they can grow and expand here so that we can have great economic opportunity, as well as safe streets, safe neighborhoods, and safe playgrounds for our children to play on. So let's keep up the good work. You've got my commitment to work on the crime bill, to keep assault weapons off of our streets, to be tough where we need to be. And we know in the long run, Mr. President, a good job and a good education is the best crime-fighting tool we can have. Thank you so much.
One of the people who is one of the leaders in the program for community policing in Jefferson Parish, we want you to hear not just from us politicians, but also from someone who really heads up the STAR program, the community policing program that the President has made available to Jefferson Parish. And that person is an 18-year veteran who was selected by Sheriff Harry Lee to head up the STAR program. And I was talking with her out there, and I found out not only is she an 18-year veteran, she's a grandmother, if you can believe this, because she is a very special person who is serving West Bank and Jefferson Parish as the head of the STAR program, made possible by President Clinton. And I want you to give a good welcome to Lieutenant Renee Washington. Lieutenant Washington.
Thank you, everybody. I would like to say that it's a great honor to be here tonight. My family, my friends, in fact, in the same neighborhood where I was raised. This neighborhood, with the help of the neighbors, the educators, the counselors, my friends, they all prepared me for a life of success. Neighbors took time to tell me when I was doing something wrong, and other people encouraged me that no matter what the obstacles are, you can win. There is nothing too great that you can't achieve. You just have to believe, first of all, in yourself, and you have to trust God. Believe in Him, ask Him to give you strength, and endure. I've been on this department for a total of 18 years. And in that time, I've grown. I started in the correctional center. I was a patrol officer. I was in the rape squad, which is called the personal violence section. I met a lot of people. I heard a lot of stories. I saw a lot of sadness. I saw a lot of grief. But through all of that, it made me strong. It made me understand that if everyone does not work together, neighbors, educators, friends, family, the old, the young, the rich, the poor, everyone must work together to achieve success. That's how I was prepared. I've enjoyed a wonderful career with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, but I can surely tell you that the single most important thing that I've done and the most gratifying thing that I've done was to be involved with the STAR program. President Clinton made a vow to the American citizens. He said, "I will put 100,000 police officers on the streets in America." He kept his promise. I don't know for certain, but I'm sure he listened to the stories of people in dire, dire situations. Hearing stories about fear, as I did when I walked through the neighborhoods of Jefferson Parish. I heard stories that broke my heart. I went home sometimes and had to share those stories with my family. It was just too much for me. I couldn't believe that I rode around in a police car or worked in an office and handled specialized cases and didn't know that 11-year-old children were so afraid night and day that they thought it was better to die. I did not know that women stood in their kitchens and took chances and had a time schedule to wash dishes because they were afraid of being shot in their kitchens. I did not know that parents were so afraid to let their children out that they kept them inside, even to ride their bicycles. That motivated me to motivate the 17 people behind me to be there to tell them that we have to fight when it's up, when it's down, when it's good, when it's bad. We have to stand together for the citizens of Jefferson Parish. There are 11 other members that are assigned to the STAR unit, making a total of 28. They can't be here tonight. They're involved in our narcotics division. And I want you all to know that these men and women are the backbone of the success of the STAR program. Our entire department, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, makes it possible for us to enjoy in Jefferson now peace at night, tranquility in some places. We have a burning desire now to do something about it. I get calls from many of you out there and some of you that aren't, that say, "What can I do to help?" Well, if God wills, I'm going to find a way to have each of you that want to help me help our neighborhoods. I would like to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to President Clinton. I would also like to tell him, from the 17 people that stand behind me, that we could not have done this without him. I was told to say by many of the residents that live in these communities, "Thank you, Mr. Clinton, for a peaceful night's rest."
Lieutenant Hughes, with a leader like that, this program cannot fail and will continue to do the good work that it does. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you. We have the STAR program here in Jefferson Parish under the leadership of Harry Lee. We also have a wonderful STAR in Washington, the congressman from this district, William Jefferson. He has stood with the President time and time again. His vote has made this program possible, this initiative possible. His leadership in not only representing the whole metropolitan area, but of really being a leader in our country that can work across party lines when necessary, across racial lines, which is always necessary, and continue to give such great leadership to our city, to our state. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Congressman Jefferson, our star, one of our stars in Washington. Congressman.
All right. Mr. President, Senator Breaux, Congressman Fields, soon to be Senator Landrew, Ms. McPherson, who I'll introduce in just a moment, Lieutenant Washington, and Sheriff Harry Lee. Now, I've had the pleasure on many occasions to welcome our president to the East Bank of my district. But this is the very first time that I've had a chance to welcome him to the West Bank. And I want him to know that this is a very important part of my district, Mr. President. This is the part of the district many years ago in which my father lived. It is a part of the district today in which my father-in-law and his wife live. And this is the place where I found my wife, Mr. President, on the West Bank. And so it is the best bank. No question about it. Let me say one thing about the crime bill, and I'll go ahead and get out of the way. In my district that I'm privileged to represent, we have 204 police officers who we would not have were it not for the crime bill that President Clinton initiated and pushed through in the Congress. That makes a difference in the lives and the safety of our people. And so we're here to say thank you, Mr. President, as Senator Washington said, for what you've done to make our lives safer, make our communities safer, to make them better places to live. This has been a very important 4 years for us. This president has been close to Louisiana. We embraced him early. We won in 1999 for him in our state, and we're going to win in 1996 for him one more time. We've kept our arms around him all these 4 years, and he has kept his hand in ours. And we're grateful to him for that. I want to talk to you about a special citizen tonight. I've had the occasion to introduce the president here and there, and as have the others who are here who are in public life. I want to say one thing about Harry Lee before I do that. Harry Lee has been with us all day. Everywhere he goes, he makes an impression. Everywhere he goes, a very different impression for most people. Even when you saw Air Force One come in today, it was tilted a little bit to Harry's side. Harry Lee has been a very special friend in this election. And when you see the Democrats stand up on November 5th and raise our collective hands in victory, in Louisiana, a great part of what we do there will be because of Harry Lee's involvement, his generosity to our party, his support of this president and of the Democratic ticket. We want to thank Chef Harry Lee for what he's done, for all of it. Now, Ms. Yvonne McPherson, I don't need to introduce her to you. You all know her. She's been involved in this community for many, many years. As a school teacher, as an assistant principal for some 27 years, as a person who reached out to children and to families and who tried to make life better for all of us, and who now in her retirement is involved in what we call a community activist in the best sense. She's involved in working with young people still, in trying to save teenagers from lives of crime and drug addiction, and she's supporting and a part of the STAR program. The great thing about STAR is it's just not cops and law enforcement people, it's the community. It's a community policing project. It involves everyone. It takes people who are just willing to reach out and give their neighbors a hand. And a great part of what we've been trying to do these last 4 years, this president's been trying to get us to do, is to think about ourselves as a community and support each other in a common outreach. And I want to tell you that she's a fine example of the spirit of that idea and of this program. So let me now ask Ms. Yvonne McPherson to come to this podium and introduce our president, President Clinton. Please, Ms. McPherson, please come forward.
Good evening. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you happy? Let us see it. Let us hear more of it. And thank you, Congressman. Very happy that all of you are here for this special occasion. As our congressman stated that I am to introduce the president, as I was also informed that I'm to make a few remarks in regard to the STAR program that has been here in Jefferson and, of course, doing such a marvelous job. The STAR program, which labels STAR, which we commonly call community policing, surveying the community, targeting the criminals, arresting the criminals, and rejuvenating our neighborhoods. They have been doing this. The STAR organization is incredible. President Clinton, this could not have been done if it hadn't been for the Clinton administration. The STAR organization, as I have observed as a citizen, as a resident, and I've been in Jefferson all of my life, and this has been instituted for the past 2 years, and the job which they are doing is a job second to none. The STAR project is a catalyst in our area. It also helps to improve our quality of life in our neighborhoods for all people by revitalizing our neighborhoods. And they are doing this by also increasing and improving our communicative skills among the police and residents of this area, by making our children happy to play on the playgrounds again with their breathe a good breath of sigh of freedom. It's so very wonderful to see our children skipping along the walkway coming into the playground, having our seniors feeling assured that they can be in the yards again in their wheelchairs, feeling the idea that there will be no gunfire at this time. Remember, the STAR has been the bridge which bridges the gap among all of those who are here in this community. The STAR, as you are labeled, STAR, you are a diamond in Jefferson, a great diamond. You are dedicated. You are committed to your work, and you have shown this during the 2 years that you have been established here. We are so proud of you because we are able now to sit out, talk to neighbors, which we hadn't done in quite some time, feeling free to express our problems to policemen, which we haven't been able to do prior to. Policemen, you are acting as the second father to those children who are without fathers, especially the sons. You are doing a tremendous job, a #1 job. That's why I say you're a diamond. You're shining, you're bridging the gap all over in Jefferson, and especially in those most violent neighborhoods where you're working now. And if you look to your left, to your right, you see on the basketball goals those most violent names of the neighborhoods in which we have a lot of work to do, of which 14 of those violent neighborhoods are on the West Bank, unfortunately. But with the help of STAR and all of their tremendous effort, energies, we can make it. And I know we can. And the reason why, Mr. President, I think of it like this. We are ordinary people doing extraordinary things here in Jefferson. Therefore, since we are doing these extraordinary things, we're asking, soliciting the help and aid of all of you who are seated here tonight to join in with the subgroups who have organized in the neighborhoods to help our children. We have the gentleman by the name of Mr. Hawkins in the Hydell area, and many others who are working untiringly. We need more fathers here on the playground, helping here and doing what they can, executing their talents. Remember, you do have God-given talents. You may not know what they are until you get busy, get on the job, get up off your squatter's rights and get there and work. Again, thank you, Mr. President, for all you have done and your administration. It has been evident here, right here at Jefferson, at Mac Playground in little old Marrero. All right, little old Marrero, which I never thought it would have been in my lifetime. And to have the gentleman here as our president seated with us. We are grateful, truly grateful, and we hope the STAR organization or project can continue. They are most needed in our area. We cannot do without them. Merci beaucoup, President Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it gives me great pleasure. And of course, you know, I'm overwhelmed. I feel as if I have butterflies all over me because I've been given this great honor, little old me, to introduce the man of the hour. The man of the hour, the chief executive of the United States. The real gift of this occasion, a rare jewel, whom you've been waiting to hear, our special guest of honor, the President of the United States, Mr. William Jefferson Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much. Well, let me I was listening to Yvonne McPherson talk, wondering if she was Reverend McPherson. And when she really got stirred up, I thought, if this lady passes the plate, we're all going to leave here broke. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful, wonderful words and your wonderful example. Thank you, Lieutenant Renee Washington, for your 18 years
and for the work you're doing to make our children safer, and for your great remarks. I want to thank all of you for making all of us who don't live here feel so welcome tonight. Thank you. I understand the West Jefferson High School band played. I thank them for that. And I want to thank Congressman Cleo Fields for coming with me tonight and for all the work he's doing on our behalf. Thank you. My good friend Congressman Bill Jefferson, who plays both sides of the river here, and that's good politics. Sometimes it's not good in public life to straddle the fence, but I picked up pretty quick it's a good thing to straddle this river. If his in-laws hadn't been from here, I think he would have moved them over here just to make sure he was covered. Thank you, my good friend Senator John Breaux, for all you do for Louisiana and all you've done for me. Thank you, and God bless you, sir. Thank you, Mary Landrew, for running for the Senate and for standing up for what is right and supporting our crime programs. Thank you. And Sheriff, thank you. I tell you, I want to thank everybody in the Sheriff's Department who's worked on this program. I understand that Deputy Chief Gus Clavery has done a lot of work on it, and others have, but this STAR program is an example of an issue that I think is very important. When I ran for president, I found people all over America frustrated and angry by the crime problem, but nearly resigned to it. There were no new ideas in many places, so people said, just throw the book at them, leave me alone, and I'll duck and dodge the bullets everywhere. But there were, thank goodness, a number of local leaders in law enforcement like Harry Lee. Didn't really nobody like Harry Lee, but you know what I mean. People that, I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say this. As you know, it's fairly well known throughout the country that I enjoy a meal now and then. And last time I came to New Orleans, I always love to come here, and I'm always angry if they make me leave without eating when I'm in here. So Harry took John Breaux and me to lunch, and I was finally with somebody I didn't have to be a bit embarrassed by enjoying my lunch with. I loved it. And we had a good one, didn't we, Sheriff? But the important thing, let me get back to this. Law enforcement leaders like Harry Lee who understood, and I found them all around America, that it wasn't only important to do things right, it was important to do the right things, which is very different. That it was one thing for a person with a badge and a uniform on to look tough, be strong, and not do anything wrong, and quite another thing for a person to always be searching out new ideas, ways to involve people in not only solving crimes but preventing crimes in the first place. You heard him say up here when he talked that he just picked up on something I mentioned at lunch about the way New York City had dramatically lowered the crime rate by radically increasing its ability to move law enforcement officers around every day among neighborhoods based on where the crime was moving. So the next time I come to Louisiana, he tells me he's instituted the same thing. That's what we need, local leadership. Citizens like Yvonne McPherson, dedicated officers like Renee Washington, and law enforcement leaders like Harry Lee who want to do the right things as well as do things right. And I was astonished when I ran for president, the extent to which people on the one hand were screaming for something to be done about crime, and on the other hand, absolutely believed nothing could be done about it. Deep down inside, they'd sort of given up, but they wanted us to make the right moves and make some right noises, but they didn't really believe we could take our streets, our schools, our neighborhoods, and ultimately our children back. And I began to see things that changed my mind. I've told this story a lot of times, but I made a good friend one night early in 1992 when I was dropping in the polls in New Hampshire and people were writing my obituary. I went to New York City to a fundraiser, and frankly, I was a pretty sad case. I was feeling sorry for myself. And I was walking through the kitchen to get around like we sometimes do, to get around where I was going to give the speech. And a Greek immigrant with a waiter's uniform stopped me. And he said, "Now, Mr. President, my son is 10. He's in the 5th grade. He studies this election. He says I should vote for you. So I think I will vote for you if you will do one thing for me." I said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want to make my boy free." And I said, "Well, sir, I said, Mr. Theophanis, this is a democracy." He said, "Yes, it is, but my boy's not free." He said, "Where I lived before, I was poor, much poorer than I am here in New York. But at least we were free. Here, across the street from our apartment in New York, there's this beautiful park. I can't let my child go to the park unless I go with him. I'm lucky I live only 2 blocks from a school, and it's actually quite a good school. But my boy can't walk down the street to the school unless I go with him. So I'll vote for you, but you have to make my boy free." And I heard stories like this all over America. But I also saw neighborhoods in Los Angeles where the police had cut the response time down to 2 minutes. I saw streets in Philadelphia that had been infested by gangs and drugs, where neighborhood groups had worked with the police to take their streets back. And just a little bit here and there, I would see these glimmers of hope. And I promised myself that if I got elected president, I was going to take the politics out of crime and try to put the police and the people back into the business of lowering the crime rate and bringing safety back to America and restoring fundamental freedom. Now, the crime bill that you've heard everybody brag on, I appreciate that, all the credit they're trying to give me. All I did was take the politics out of crime. All we did was to let law enforcement people and community activists, like the folks that have spoken tonight, tell us what the federal government ought to do to be a good partner to help communities take their streets back and give their kids a future back. That is all we did. But as it turned out, that was quite a lot. Because for 6 years, the debate in Washington had been a bunch of rhetoric and who could talk the toughest and who could do the least, because we didn't want to do anything to make any of the organized groups mad. And the problem was, nothing ever got done. So all we did was to let law enforcement officials, in effect, tell us what ought to be done, let community activists tell us what ought to be done. That's what the '94 crime bill was about. It's been a remarkable 4 years in the area of fighting crime. In this crime bill, we agreed that over a 5-year period, we'd fund 100,000 police. After only 2 years, we funded almost half of them, so we're ahead of schedule and under budget. As the sheriff said, there were no strings in this bill except one. There was just one string. The money had to be spent to hire law enforcement officers who would go on the street, not behind a desk. That was the only string. We said, you figure out who to hire, you figure out how to train them, you decide how to deploy them, you decide how you're going to relate to the community. It's all your decision. We don't know in Washington how to do that. But we do know that in 30 years, the violent crime rate has tripled, and the police forces have only gone up by 10% in this country. There's no way you could do it. We had place after place after place that were more violent without any more police officers, and they were covering less because they had to go around 2 at a time, and then they had to get in a car so nobody was on the street. And we were losing the battle because we weren't doing the right things. So that's all we tried to do. We also passed the 3 strikes and you're out law for people who are prosecuted in federal court for serious crimes. If they do it a 3rd time, they're not eligible for parole, not ever. And life imprisonment. We passed the capital punishment for drug kingpins and people who kill our law enforcement officers in the line of duty. We passed a strong, safe, and drug-free schools program to give our little children something to say yes to put more of those DARE officers and other people out there in the classrooms when the kids are in grade school saying drugs are wrong, drugs are illegal, drugs can kill you. We're giving schools more funds to stay open later. I've fought to maintain the summer jobs program. I've fought to try to give our young people something to say yes to. I'm now trying to make sure we open the doors of college education to everybody so no young person has to worry about whether they'll be able to afford to go to college if they stay in school and stay off drugs and stay out of trouble and make their grades. I think that's important. So that's important. We've also tried to support more people like Yvonne in citizens groups. Over the next 4 years, we're going to try to mobilize another 1 million volunteers to work with the police to get the crime rate down. San Diego, California, has the lowest crime rate of any of the 10 big cities in America, even though it's right on the border where we're constantly fighting illegal immigration and people trying to bring drugs across the border. They still, of any of the 10 biggest cities, they got the lowest crime rate. Why? One reason is they have hundreds and hundreds of retired people who work in these citizens groups with the police, not only to catch criminals, but to keep crime from happening in the first place. Watching out for the little kids on the street, watching out for their neighbors. They know whenever somebody's gone on vacation, they watch their homes. They work together. So this is something we've got to do together. There's more to be done. We have to continue to support these police officers. You know, Harry Lee and I were laughing. I once had a lifetime membership in the NRA. I think it's been revoked now because I stood up for the Brady Bill. But we didn't take any guns away from hunters or sportsmen. Not a single one. We haven't done that. But at least 60,000 felons, fugitives, and stalkers couldn't get guns. Now, if you beat up your wife or your kids, you can't get a handgun under the new law. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I would oppose any effort to undermine my ability to duck hunt or anybody's ability to be a championship skeet shooter or to do anything else that's appropriate and legal. But I still think we ought to ban those bullets that are built only for one purpose, to pierce the bulletproof vests that our police officers wear. I don't see why we need those things out there. Let me tell you, we just started this program 2 years ago, as I said, when I signed the crime bill in 1994. Today, I met with the family of the first one of the police officers hired under our crime bill killed in the line of duty. I met here in Louisiana, in Lake Charles. I met with that officer's widow and two beautiful, beautiful young sons. And I thought to myself, you know, if people like these folks here are going to put their lives on the line for us, the least we can do is tell them if they put on a bulletproof vest, it will protect them from being killed. That's the least we can do for them. And so what I want you to believe is, number one, this is not an accident, what Harry Lee said about reducing the violent crime rate and the crime rate by 85%. That is not an accident. That happened because people did the right things. Second thing I want you to believe is the federal government, your president, the Congress, we can make a difference, and we are, but we're not doing it because of our political connections or philosophy. We're doing it because we took the politics out of crime. The third thing I want you to know is this could all be reversed. In the budget I vetoed last year that the majority in Congress passed, they eliminated the 100,000 police program. Again, I had to stop them from trying to cut back on it. For reasons I do not understand, they do not believe in it. They tried to cut the Safe and Drug-Free Schools program in half. Drug use is going down in America, folks, big time, but drug use among children under 18 is still going up. The last thing we need to do is to cut back on Safe and Drug-Free Schools effort. We need more adults in those schools talking to those kids. And my newest proposal, which is probably going to get me in trouble with some of the young people in America, but I want to say, look, 90% of our kids are drug-free, and we need to support them, and we need to lift up the good kids, and we need to give them something to say yes to. I want to say that again. We need to say it. But I'm going to ask those 90% to do something that may be unpopular with them. I'm going to ask them to go along with my proposal to get every state in the country to make a drug test part of getting a driver's license so we can find the other 10% and save their lives and help them and give them a chance at the future. I say again, you deserve most of the credit here. The sheriff, Lieutenant Washington, Yvonne McPherson, all of you that work in this, these police officers, you deserve the credit. But We have to do our part, and we have tried to do our part. And I want you to sustain this effort by what you say on November 5th. And I know what Mary Landrew will say. She'll stay with us. She'll support us, and that's important. So I want you to help by sending people to Washington who will continue to take crime fighting out of politics and give it back to the people of every neighborhood in America. That's important, and Mary will do that. That's important. And I want you to continue to support these efforts here. But just remember this. If you don't remember anything else, remember this. This is an example of what we can do when we stop talking and start acting. And when we reach across the lines that divide us and join hands and agree on things that we all agree on. We do not have to put up with unacceptable rates of crime and violence. We do not have to put up with what I have seen in America. We're almost to Halloween now. Just a couple of years ago in Baltimore, where the mayor has labored mightily on this, there was this wonderful young man, 17 years old, his whole life before him, took two little kids out trick-or-treating so they would be safe. And somebody shot him from across the street and ended his life just for kicks. Last year in Washington, in a suburb, a 13-year-old honor student standing innocently at a school bus stop, a city bus stop, shot down just because he happened to be standing in the wrong place in a drive-by shooting. You don't have to put up with that. You don't have to give up your children to that. You don't have to do that. We can make a difference. We are making a difference, and you're making a difference here. And I will do my best for 4 more years to make sure we have 4 more years of declining crime here in Jefferson Parish. Thank you, and God bless you.